Hi, long time no see. It's been over 2 years since my last video, and man, has a lot of life been lived in that time. If we haven't met, I'm Alex, and I'm a Charlotte Mason homeschooling mom of 4, wife to my high school sweetheart, and follower of Jesus Christ. We just wrapped up our 6th year of homeschooling, and I wanted to jump back on YouTube because, like I said, it's been a while. Since we last posted, we have done a lot. We've fostered 8 kiddos, watched my nephew for a season, and adopted our son. So we're officially a family of 6. My 2 oldest girls have just completed 5th grade and 3rd grade, and we use Ambleside Online. We love the literature Ambleside Online has exposed us to, and I wanted to see which stories have been my girls' favorites since we just wrapped up our school year. Like I said, my oldest just completed year 5, my second just completed year 3, and my third, of course, could not be left out of this video. So she wanted to share which read aloud had been her favorite.
I like Little Women because it feels like you're actually a part of the book. And the happy moments, you're really happy. The sad moments, you're really sad. So it feels like you're actually walking along with them in their lives and in your life.
What's your favorite part about Little Pilgrim's Progress?
I really like it, and I love the book, and they made it to the Sister City.
What's your favorite part of On the Banks of Plum Creek?
I really like the book, and I really want to listen to it again.
But why? What was your favorite part?
I like Paul saying like, "Here's a coming."
You like when Pa sings?
And I really like the book.
The Alice in Wonderland. What I really like about Alice in Wonderland is because I listen to it with my mom and my sister, and I wish I could listen to it.
What was your did you have a favorite part?
I like tea party part.
The tea party.
Yeah.
Okay, no rest for the weary. We are on to next year's school planning. So normally around February, I get the itch to start planning for the next year. We are not done with school when I get this itch. And I've heard that it's kind of common with other homeschooling moms around that time. I don't know if it's because it's cold outside, if we are tired of the current year and we have hopes for the next year. We don't want to implement new things in February yet, so we just keep adding our list of new things for the next year. I'm not sure why, but usually it's around February. Well, this year I was very busy in February with our son coming home. I had been keeping my nephew. I was drowning a little in post-adoption adjustments and trying to figure out one of my daughter's learning difficulties, what was going to be best for her, a plethora of things that was keeping me busy in February. So my planning got pushed back a little bit this year. With that said, I'm still planning. I'm usually done planning for the next year by, what month is it? Almost May. It's the end of April right now, but it's almost May, as in tomorrow. And when this video comes out, it'll probably be a little bit into May. Anyway, I'm usually done by this point, and I am not. So I figured I would talk about the things that I am loving and keeping, and the things that I feel like I'm failing in, that I'm contemplating, that I'd like to add in. So I started making a list of just things I would like to do next year, and on top of what I'm already liking, things I would like to add in or change, that type of thing. So let's talk about it. I will probably do a more in-depth video on what our planning looks like when I'm finished with it, but that's probably going to be into May. I'm hoping to have it done by the end of May because we're going to be traveling in June. So let's just talk about my ideal world, the things that I would add. Number 1, art lessons. My oldest loves art. Actually, my first and third love art, but I would say everyone in our family has a love for art. They're just extra in love. So I would love art lessons. My sister is an artist, and I have tried to convince her to start art lessons for the homeschool world because I feel like it's an area that would love to have a bunch of different perspectives on that. So with that said, I think I want to add in 1 art lesson a week. The hard part is I have 4 kids, but 3 that would want to partake, and they're all at varying levels. So how do I best implement that? Do I do something separate for my older daughter? Do they all partake and they just take what they can get, which is what I'm leaning towards. So I'm working that out, but I would like to have 1 a week. Next, French lessons. I love French. My husband and I met in French class in high school. I would love to speak French. I would love for my kids to speak French. And every year I have it on our schedule to add French lessons. And every year I fail miserably at it. So I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know what most of this is going to look like. But I have come across someone that does French lessons that I'm loving. She's also going to be at a homeschool conference I'm going to in the fall, but I kind of want to make a decision before then. So anyway, we'll see what comes of that. Third, handwriting curriculum. I have never done a handwriting curriculum. My oldest is going into middle school. So I will have a 6th grader, a 4th grader, a kindergartner, and a toddler this coming year, and I've never done handwriting curriculum. I have kind of just created mine as I go. I am a cheapskate when it comes to things that I feel like I can put together my own. Now, with that said, it was easier to do when I didn't have so many kids that I was teaching. I was only teaching my oldest for a while. So I'm thinking about buying a handwriting curriculum. More to come on that too. Okay. Next is so on Ambleside Online, love Ambleside Online. All that to say, one of my daughters has learning difficulties, and so I do have to tweak it for her for varying reasons. I might do a video on Ambleside Online with learning difficulties, but I'm like tripping my way through that right now, so I'm not much of a expert on that, if you would say. So these are just some ideas. I thought, so this last year I took out some of the books and I replaced them with Little House on the Prairie books, which she has loved, and I love that for her. So I think I'm going to kind of do the same thing. I will keep some of the books that they suggest, but then some books I might trade out for some free reads, which if you know anything about Ambleside Online, they have a list of free reads that are not scheduled, but that they recommend every child read in that grade. So with that said, I was like, oh, maybe I'll do the Narnia books for Lila. I think she would love that. Right next to it, I was like, or maybe I'll do it as a family free read, because I have loved doing Little House books with her. And I love that we have these stories that just the two of us can go back and reference, and we have that special bond with these books. But I really want all of my kids to have that bond with Narnia. So we'll see what that does. Okay, nature study. So Ambleside Online, they have different nature study to focus on for each term. There are 3 terms, and I've never done well at sticking to that study for that term. So I have on here that I need to schedule my nature study. Now, do I want to follow that each thing on each term? If so, I probably need to look into that ahead of time to be getting a couple books on it, or information. So we'll see. I also have that I would like to study birds further. I love birds. And I would love to I can already identify several of our backyard birds, but I would like to be able to identify all of them. I would love to find more facts out about them, and how, like, plants we can plant that they eat their seeds and different things like that, calls they make. So maybe I'll do that for nature study. Not sure yet. I have on here Colette. She's entering kindergarten. Now, kindergarten we keep very lax. If you're part of the Charlotte Mason world, you know you're not supposed to start formal schooling until they are 6, which would be considered first grade. Year 1 is how they would say it on Ambleside Online. So we're starting year 0, aka kindergarten. So what do I want that to look like for her? She is already starting to teach herself to read. She is kind of genius, and I don't know what to do about that. I don't want to stifle it, but I also want her to enjoy her childhood. So, what is it going to look like for her with reading? A picture book a day. For Madeline, when she was going through kindergarten, we also did easy chapter books. How am I going to find the time to do something separately with her? Or am I only going to take those chapter books as a family read aloud? All of that I still have to work through. Okay, timeline and map work. I have failed at that too. So I have a book of centuries, and we have entered a couple of things in it, but I want to do better at entering that. And map work I'm not good at. So I would like every week for us to be able to enter our information into our book of centuries and do our map work. Also, a simple timeline I feel like would be really good for Lila and Colette, especially to figure out what that looks like in history. We'll see. We'll see what comes of that. But I think a simple timeline would be good. Okay, Shakespeare. I was doing really good at Shakespeare. And then we were part of a co-op which was covering Shakespeare. So I took that out of my responsibility, I should say, our daily lessons. But we're no longer part of that co-op because I'm still treading water. And I need to just focus on being at home right now. So I need to enter Shakespeare back into our schedule. Map drills. Never done map drills. And I think you're supposed to do like 10 minutes a week or something is what it calls for through Ambleside Online. So I need to look into that. I know there's an app I could do, but I want to figure out what would work best, especially for my oldest. Also, math. I forget who recommended this, but it was on Simply Charlotte Mason. I saw that they recommended using gridded paper for math. And I thought to myself, that is genius. My oldest can get sloppy with math and make simple mistakes. And I feel like if she had that gridded paper, it would cut back down on that. So I'm going to look into that. I have written down that I want to use 1/4 inch for my oldest and 1/2 inch for my next 2. So I'll let you know how that goes. Also, if you're doing Ambleside Online, there is a Facebook page that you can be a part of. And there was someone on there that made a file called Together Time. Another way you could say that is morning time. We usually call it morning time. But she had everything laid out for all the terms, and I loved that. And I think it would help me not have to do more work as the terms come. I can just have that done, which I love, as you will see in another video. If I do one about all my planning, I like to have everything printed out at the beginning of the year. So one of my questions is, do I want to create a Together Time file like that lady made? That was so cute. Okay. I also have on here map making. There's a map making book, and it's more than I want to spend. And I keep hoping I'm going to find it for cheap. So we'll see. I would love to add that in, but maybe that's not a this year thing. Who knows? Another note I have is, I would like to, work on one of my daughters. I feel like she's falling into having a lazy speech, which is going to keep people from being able to understand what she's saying. So with that said, I have starred speech exercises. I would like to just implement that into her work. And my last thing I have on here is poetry copy work. So what we've done in the past is Ambleside Online has a poet for each term for each year that you're in. And what I've done is presented the poetry to my daughter and said, which one would you like to study for recitation? And that's what we do for our poetry study. And it has worked well. But now that my oldest is going into middle school, I think I would like to have her do poetry copywork as well from the poet that we're studying for that term. So I have on that poetry copywork ? One poem a week ? I'm not sure. So that's my list of things that I'm still working through. Okay. My phone died. But I did get to the end of my list. So all of this to say, this is going to be my 6th year, or I had just finished my 6th year homeschooling, and we've used Ambleside Online all the way through, and I love it and have no plans to change. But with that said, there's always stuff that we can't fit in. There's always things that we're going to feel like we can do better at. And I think there's a good thing about that for sure. So no one has it planned out perfectly that I know of. I certainly don't. And so this is just an encouragement that that's okay. And you're in good company. So that's a wrap on our 2025 to 2026 school year. And now I'm going to be stepping full force. I've already been dabbling, but stepping full force into planning for next year and enjoying our 2-month summer break. And we will be starting back in July. We finish end of April, start into July. I can describe more on that of why we do that. But my short answer is the weather is really nice in May and June, and we want to spend all that time outside. Also, my kids' birthdays fall from first weekend in May to first week of July. So we're out for all of the kids' birthdays, which is also very fun. So thanks for tuning in. My plan is to put out more videos on our homeschool planning. So if you want to, you can follow along and get notified whenever I post them.